All right. Okay, so we are live. All right, so we are live. Just so you know. Just so you know. I don't want to do that. Why are you doing that? Okay. Okay. All right, I'm gonna hit the lights, and then we're actually hold on. We did do that. Okay. Ron, I sent you a link. It's in your email. We'll live stream this lesson. We live stream a lot of our lessons. That's just in case you can't hear me at all, or you need to see specifically what I'm doing.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
Also, so glad I heard some of this.
For my testers, I'm gonna go ahead and say you got 5 minutes. No, 6 minutes. We'll say 6 minutes and then go down. I'll remind you guys when it gets closer to the time. All right. So we kind of have two different use cases for what I'm about to show you today. A lot of this stuff we need to be able to turn it into a oh my god. Is that me? Who? All right. Who's got the stream on? Are we good? Okay, we should be good. Is my thing turned back up? All right. Whenever we've got a design that we want to put onto like a T-shirt, okay, by screen printing, we're not doing DTF, which is like direct to fabric printing. We are doing. Where is my mouse? Okay, there we go. We are doing just basic like raster graphics, and we're getting it ready, and it's gonna be halftone, and you either want halftone or you want two-tone. So it's either black or white, or it's halftone. So I'm gonna show you both of those cases today, and how to prep your artwork for that. Right. So if it's simple, which I categorize this as simple. You don't have to do too much to it. You don't have to bitmap this. You can just put this on an 11 by 17 file. I can print this on transparent film, and then we could just use this, okay? Because the only thing that gets printed is the black. The white does not get printed, okay? That's not how inkjet printer works. If it's white, it's just doesn't touch it. The reason why is because theoretically you would just be using paper, but we're not using paper. We're using transparent film. So all it prints is the black, which is what we want. Because when we're talking about screen printing, the emulsion that we coat our screens with, it's like liquid masking tape almost. You know that blue painter's tape that you guys use to paint stuff and you cut stuff out on? Think of that as a liquid, and it reacts to light. Okay, so when we print this out on inkjet transfer film, we put it up against our uncured emulsion. We cure it. Everything that was blocked by the light is not cured, which means that we can wash it out. And everything that was not blocked by the light wasn't cured. Okay, so that stays, right? So that's where the mask happens. And I'll show you guys that whole process like this week because we have a couple of things that we need to get through, and then we could start doing garment printing as much as possible, because we need to do that as much as we can before the end of this 9 weeks. So really you want to make sure that if you are doing a simpler design, and if you don't have any gradients, keep it that way. We'll talk about how we get gradients through the bitmapping process, but for now, if I say simple design, let's say it's either black or it's white. All right? Now, let's talk about a complex design. So I've got this render that I did out of ZBrush, and this is through something called MPR rendering, which is non-photoreal rendering. All right, it's different than the stuff that we talked about in Maya. Maya, you get photoreal rendering. I didn't want that with this. I wanted something that looked a little bit comic booky. All right, it kind of has like that Borderlands cell shade look to it. It looks really cool in my opinion. The reason why I wanted that is because I wanted this nice dark line work all over the place. Whenever you get 3D renders, you don't really get line work. We want that for this. So if you've got a complex design, which I'm going to call this a complex design, you don't have to do 3D for it. You can have a drawing or a digital illustration. We need to do a couple things to get this ready. Okay, so first and foremost, we want to make sure our background gets removed. I kind of colored this in a way, just for demo purposes, that the background is different enough from the foreground, so that when I just click remove background, it'll just take care of it. But, you know, use the tools that you know how to use to do that. And then we get pretty decent cutout of this, and then we need to prep it for the printing process. So first and foremost, we need to make sure that we have this in grayscale. All right, we don't want it. We don't want any color with this. Again, we are just printing in black, and I'll show you, you know, why we kind of do that when we get to the halftone. But first and foremost, I want to go and I want to make sure that this is rasterized, smart object, all that stuff. Adjustments, hue/saturation. And we're going to grab the saturation and we're just going to turn it all the way down, all right? The reason why we do that instead of just going to black and white is because this preserves our value range, all right? When we're just killing the saturation, that means that we are just taking the color information out. We're not taking the light and shadow information out. Whenever you go through black and white, if you don't do it right, it'll kind of contrast your values too much dependent on the color channel that you're doing, all right? So again, hue/saturation. Put it all the way down on the saturation bar, and then we get something that's decently grayscale. Okay. So now we want to do a couple things with this. Once we have a complex design grayscaled, we've got a couple of options. The first option is you can say, well, I kind of don't want the gradient, so let's see what this looks like without the gradient. And we go to Image, Adjustments, Posterize. And then I'm going to knock this down to 2 values. All right, it's either black or it's white. Sometimes you get a really cool result out of that. All right, that looks kind of cool. I like it. Some of our information is gone. Like all this stuff under here, it's gone. So if I want that stuff back, I can go to Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast. Right, and then I go back to posterize, and then when I go back to my 2 values, I kind of get more of that information back, especially up in the face, you know. And these are just smart filters for now. If you want to do that through adjustment layers, go for it, because that's, again, non-destructive. We always want to be practicing that, but just for the purposes of the demo, I'm just doing it through smart filters. So you can kind of see the 2 different results that we have with this. All right, that's no brightness contrast. That's a little bit of brightness contrast. So you see how the shadow kind of, like, we can really manipulate the shadow as much as we want to. We get a different result. And some parts of this, like this eye looks fantastic on the other one, but the rest of it kind of loses it. So if I wanted to, I could go and I can cut all that out. What is that? Oh, yeah. Right. So it just depends, right? And this is just for posterizing 2 values. Also, my testers, it's time. Go ahead and go next door. Good luck. You guys are going to do great. Shara, go next door. It's time to test. Yeah. Bree, you're going to do great. Devin, it's time. You guys are going to do great. All right. Now, here's the other option. If you don't want it to be this, like, 2-tone design, you want that gradient as much as possible. You want to get a lot of detail out of this, because theoretically, if you did do an illustration and you did spend a bunch of time, you know, getting the shading in and doing all that fun stuff, you're not going to want to just, like, crunch it through posterizing. So let's have it be hue/saturation, and then let's go into brightness contrast, turn that up just a little bit. Now here's the annoying bit. Here's the part of the demo that you're probably going to need to write some numbers down, because when we talk about doing this bit mapping, there is a little bit of math involved. All right. First thing we want to do is we want to go to image mode, and we want to go to grayscale. It's going to ask, do you want to rasterize? Please do. Discard color information. Once you go past this point, this is the point of no return. So make sure if you want to, you save an iteration, call this a bitmap, discard all that. Everything's flattened. Bob's your uncle. There we go. We're going to go back up to image mode. Then we're going to go to bitmap. Flatten layers. Okay. And we get two different guys. We're going to have two different menus that pop up. So first thing we only got to worry about is output. And we need to make sure that that's at 300 pixels per inch. That is the bare minimum for high quality print. You always want to make sure that you're just doing it at 300. Sometimes 450 is better. Very rarely during the applications that we do at Career Center, 600 is overkill. All right, if you're doing something like huge and it's a raster graphic and you can't vector it, then 600 will get you there. But, you know, we're only printing on 11 by 17. That's just going to be a waste of computing power. So I'm going to turn that to 300. And then for method, you want to make sure that you're on halftone screen. All right, we'll talk about the different things later, but we just want to worry about halftone. Right, we're going to hit OK. And then we need to worry about the frequency at which our halftones exist. Okay, the way that we calculate this, and I'm going off the top of my head, I probably should have had that written down, is that we take our screen mesh count, which we're working with 160 mesh. That is a like good run-of-the-mill workhorse, you know, decent quality mesh count. We could still push ink through quite easily, but we do sacrifice a little bit of quality. It's not like, oh my god, crazy. We take 160, we divide it by 4, and then we get 35.5 out of that. All right. So that's going to be the number that you want to do for all this stuff because we only have 160 mesh. So 35.5 is like the gold number for now. The angle is arbitrary. All right. I just have mine running at 90 degrees, which means that my lines go up and down. If you want it at 45, that means your lines will go at 45 degrees, which is slanted. If you put it at 0, that means that they go side to side. All right. We can also change the shape of our halftone here. So I really like line personally. I think it looks like those old medieval lithographic, like old school printing that they used to do to like mass produce books, like right when that technology was becoming a thing. That's what I like. You don't have to do line. We could do round, diamonds, ellipses, squares, and crosses. And when I go and click OK on that, give it a second, we should get our artwork converted to halftones. So if we notice, all of our gradient that we had, it's here and it's not here. So comic books, stuff that would get printed before like the 80s and the 90s, this technology that's been around for a while, the way that they used to do gradients and have things, you know, have more depth to them, there's light and shadow and it's not just black or white, they developed this technique called halftones, which means that there are little tiny dots. All right, if there are more dots, that means that there is more shadow. If there are less dots, that's less shadow. So it's an optical illusion. If you look really close, you can see the dots. They're there. Looks like an old newspaper, right? But if I zoom out, especially if you're sitting at your desk, you cannot tell that there are dots. You zoom in a little bit, you could start telling a little bit. But especially in the context of a t-shirt, you're not going to be able to tell. All right? You get a very specific look. Graphic tees have been made like this. If there's gradients, it's been done like this for long before you guys were born. All right? That's kind of why that graphic style evolved into just being two tones, because sometimes that's easier to print. We don't have to worry about that, all right? Because we have direct to fabric, we've got really advanced printing techniques, but just for this project and for especially use in the building for screen printing, we want to do halftone. We want to make sure that it's nice and solid, just like this, so that we can, you know, get this design out there and make it, you know, look nice. So let me Control Z back, and we can see what the lines look like, because I just think the lines look nice. Image, mode, bitmap, Flatten layers, yes. 300 PPI. 35.5 frequency. Let me change that to line. I don't know. That just looks cooler to me. I just like how the lines look. But you can experiment. You can see what works with you, and you know, go from there. All right. The kind of the reason why we do this is because if you make an artwork that has a decent amount of depth to it, it's got a lot of shading quality, and it's got a lot of you know, light and shadow work to it. You don't want to crunch all that, get rid of it. This is how we do that and still work within the confines of the screen printing. Okay, so you can make some really cool designs just through this method. And honestly, sometimes I'll throw a bitmap just on a finished piece of artwork, even if I'm not going to screen print it. I just think it looks cool. Sometimes, not all the time, though. All right. So I hope everybody took notes. Make sure that when you are submitting files for me to begin printing, here's what you need to do. You need to make a new file. You want to make this an 11 by 17. Keep it at 300 pixels per inch. You can have it be in RGB color mode just in case you want to do some smart filters to it. Takes 2 seconds to change it. Background content, keep that white. Okay. And then once you get your design, get it in here, then bitmap this document. Okay. Because when you start moving bitmap graphics between documents, it gets a little funky. Because you want to save this as a PDF. Because I got to print it on my inkjet, and it really likes PDF. So don't give me a PNG, don't give me a JPEG. You go up to File, Save As, Photoshop PDF, do first name, last name, T-shirt design. You don't have to put a date on it. I'm not worried about it. Just make sure that your name's on it and all that stuff. And then we'll start talking about the actual printing process of this. Not just screen printing, but like getting it through the inkjet and like making sure that we're setting up for success. Because what you don't want to do is have your design be just like not maximizing your space. You know, really try to push it as much as you can, because 11 by 17 is the biggest that we could print. Right? So don't try to give me something that's all, you know, small and wonky. Make sure it's centered. Make sure you're maximizing your space as much as possible. You know, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I, you know, print shirts, if the design's too small, it just looks funky. So make sure you print it nice and big. Other than that, that's kind of it. Does anybody have any questions so far? What's up, Peekaboo?
What if we already did our T-shirt design?
Yeah. So let's take a look. Do you mind if we look at yours?
Yeah.
You do mind.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right, Chloe. Let's look at Chloe's. How long ago was this? It was a bit? Okay.
September 16th.
September? Okay, we're behind on that.
We very much not really sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so basic design. So all you're going to do, Peekaboo, is you're going to get it, and you're going to have your 11 by 17 open, and then you're just going to take your design, and then you should be able to just drag and drop it.
Okay.
All right, and then just resize it. If you have a complicated design, then that's when you're going to do your bitmap after you've dragged and dropped it. But, like, this is simple. We don't have to worry about it. There's only 2 tones on it. Also, if you have a design that is, like, the design goes off of the border, like this kind of, make sure when you print it, you give a little bit of bleed to it, which makes it basically means, like, downsize it just a little bit so that I don't have to worry about it going off of the paper. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to, you know, and then we'll just figure it out with the printing later, like the actual transfer. So, does anybody else have any other questions? No? Nothing?
Would we have to have our phones by?
Well, I'm gonna coat screens tonight, so we could start tomorrow. We could start burning screens tomorrow. So if you want to get shirts in as soon as possible, you can go and do all that. If you want to wait till next week, we can also do that. This is going to be one of those projects that we do where it's like it's kind of in the background, and like we'll have other stuff to do, and then you can be like, "Hey, Mr. P, I'm ready to do my shirt. I'll show you how to burn it. We'll do it individually, and we'll go from there." Okay, does that make sense?
So it's good. We turn it
Yes.
PDF, Photoshop PDF.
Yeah, I would prefer that it's a PDF. Like, well, I shouldn't say I prefer. I am requiring that it is a PDF. Okay? I gotta go get my phone.
Because the teeth marks kind of get in the way and they protrude from it, so I'd rather have this and then fill in the gap myself. Rather than erase back.
Alrighty, thank you.
A mixture of teeth and claws, yeah.
I don't believe so.
It's always
From other cats.
You didn't post it.
Then post what?
The thing where we turn it.
Oh, give me a second. I'll put this underneath Tshirt bitmap just so that we can keep it organized. And Tiffany, you are going to have to redo. You can't use the one from last year because it's a different screen. So as long as you have the graphic, we can go from there. I'm going to make this due Thursday. And we'll go from there.
Mr. P, if you get a chance.
Yes.
I'm doing some last minute edits to the picture, and is there any way that I said invert, but I actually mean like flip this around, like pretty much mirror it and put it on this side? Is there any way I can make this selection mirror?
Of course there is. Hit Control T. So you're on a layer that has nothing in it.
Oh.
So I'm gonna go to the layer that has something in it. I'm gonna hit Control E to make a copy of that selection. And then I'm gonna do Control T. And then I'm gonna right click on it. I'm gonna hit flip horizontal. And then you have it just flipped. Let me take the color out because that's part of the selection that we have.
I want two pixels. Because he doesn't have the same color as this guy. I was just gonna flip it around. I guess it just frees it up.
So confused
I wouldn't
by
worry
what
about
you're
it.
doing.
Yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
don't know what you are trying to accomplish.
I don't know what he was trying to ask you.
I'm a little special. I'm trying to really say it.
So I can kind of, I was thinking
So-
the shape of the selection.
So look, you see how they're like symmetrical, right?
White grid.
Like,
White grid.
I don't even know why it's on grid. It's like that.
maybe if I get
It gridded when I put when I put it into this. It wasn't like that before. I figured you said it was more designers want to keep details a little bit, but I guess since I'm running something,
You just need some white.
like here's this, which I didn't want to keep it like that, so I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, you gotta tweak it.
Yeah.
smart filter.
Yeah, what he said.
I didn't know smart filter would
Okay,
actually
so
work.
what are you trying to do?
So yeah, so I zoomed out so you can see. You see how the two are symmetrical, right? They're like lined half and half.
Yeah.
I want to get the collar, not like the accessories on the collar, but I want to get that exact shape of the collar so it stays symmetrical over here. So I just wanna
Further.
flip.
You can't just freehand that.
I tried to. I'm not good at that, but I can try. I was
Let me get my chair. Let me get my chair. This is gonna take.
I was just gonna see if there's like a way I could literally just flip the pixel selection.
There's a better way of doing this.
Just like
Oh.
magnet,
Oh.
magnet pin or
I'm gonna turn my live off.